On September 10, 2025, Baidu officially released their brand new AI model called ERNIE-4.5-21B-A3B-Thinking. Now, I know that sounds like a mouthful, but don't worry, I will break it down for you in the simplest way possible. So, to understand this new model better, let's take a quick look at the background. ERNIE is Baidu's family of large language models, kind of like their own version of ChatGPT or Gemini. Over the years, Baidu has been building and upgrading these models step by step. Each new version has tried to get better at understanding language, solving problems, and helping users in different ways. It started with the earlier ERNIE models, then Baidu launched ERNIE 4.0, which was a big step forward in general intelligence and performance. After that came ERNIE 4.5, which brought improvements in both speed and accuracy, making it more reliable for everyday users. Now we have this brand new variant called ERNIE 4.5-21B-A3B-Thinking. The thinking part in its name is really important. It tells us that this version is not just about answering simple questions or chatting casually. Instead, it has been specially fine-tuned for deep reasoning tasks. That means it's much better at things like solving complicated math problems, writing or analyzing code, and following long chains of logical steps to arrive at the right answer. So in short, while the older ERNIE models were like all-rounders, this thinking model is more like a specialist. It focuses on doing complex reasoning at a very high level. Now let's talk about what's inside this new model, its architecture and specs. First, the size. ERNIE 4.5-21B-Thinking has about 21 billion parameters. You can think of parameters as the knowledge switches the model uses to learn and make decisions. But here is the interesting part. Even though it has 21 billion in total, it doesn't use all of them at once, thanks to something called a mixture of experts. It only activates about 3 billion parameters for each input. So what does that mean? Imagine you have a team of 64 specialists, each with their own skills. But when a problem comes up, instead of asking all 64 to speak at once, you only call the 6 most relevant specialists to solve that specific problem. That's exactly how this model works. Smart, efficient, and powerful without wasting resources. In terms of structure, it has 21 layers, which basically means the information passes through 21 steps of processing before giving you the answer. It also has attention heads, 20 for looking at queries and 4 for handling key information. These are like the model's way of paying attention to different parts of the text at the same time. Another big highlight is the context length of 128K tokens. In simple words, this means the model can read and remember extremely long inputs, like entire research papers, big contracts, or even large code projects, all at once without losing track. Finally, it's released under the Apache 2.0 license, which is a very open and business-friendly license. This means companies can use it, customize it, and even build products on top of it without worrying about strict restrictions. Now let's talk about how this model actually performs, because specs only matter if they translate into real results. On the reasoning side, things like math and logic, ERNIE 4.5-21B-Thinking does really well. In fact, it outperforms Qwen GPT on tough benchmarks like CMath and BBH or Big Bench Hard, which are designed to test how good a model is at solving complicated multi-step problems. When it comes to code generation, the model also shows strong results. On coding benchmarks such as Human Able Class and NBPP, it proves that it can write working code, understand programming tasks, and even solve problems that require built-in functions or scripts. This makes it very useful for developers and anyone who needs help with software tasks. For reasoning benchmarks, which measures a model's ability to think in steps and explain its answers, it does especially well. On tests like Writing Bench and Zebra Logic, it stands out as being more consistent and logical compared to many other models in the same range. Every model has its strong points and weak points. So let's break that down for ERNIE 4.5-21B-Thinking. Starting with the strengths, this model is really good at logic, math, coding, and academic-style reasoning. If you give it a tough problem that requires careful thinking, it's designed to work step by step and come up with a solid answer. Another big plus is the long context window. With 128K tokens, it can handle very large inputs like whole research papers, long contracts, or multi-file code bases without losing track of the details. It also uses an efficient mixture of expert design, which means instead of running all 21 billion parameters at once, it only activates the ones that are most useful. This makes it smarter with its resources and faster than a dense model of the same size. And finally, it's released under an open Apache 2.0 license, which makes it easier for companies to adapt, customize, and even use it in their products without having restrictions. Now for the limitations, because it's built for reasoning and complex tasks, it can sometimes feel like overkill for simple, everyday things like casual chatting or small Q&A. It also may not be as strong in multilingual conversations or light, creative dialogues compared to more general purpose models. And even though it's efficient, it's still a large model, so running it smoothly still requires powerful GPUs or cloud resources. So overall, it's a powerful specialist, but not necessarily the best tool for every single job. From my perspective, I think this model will be especially useful in coding, research, and enterprise situations where accuracy and step-by-step reasoning really matter. But for simple, everyday chatting or lighter use cases, it might feel a little too heavy and resource demanding. Now, I would love to hear from you. Which feature do you find the most impressive? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more updates on the latest AI models.